Hi everyone. In this video, we are going to see the art movement from modern to postmodern. World War II was brought to a terrifying end on August 9, 1945, when the United States dropped an atomic bomb on the Japanese city of Nagasaki. The United States and the Soviet Union had emerged from the war as the two dominant superpowers were entering into the prolonged nuclear-armed standoff known as the Cold War. We are going to see the art movements about that era. The center of artistic energy had shifted. Several developments had paved the ways for this flowering of advanced art in America. One was the founding of the Museum of Modern Art, the MoMA, in the New York City in 1929. So this is the timeline. The modern art movements arose in Europe since foundation of Louvre Museum in Paris. However, after foundation of Museum of Modern Art in New York City, the art trends moved from New York to America. Painters associated with the first major post-war art movement are commonly referred to as the New York School during World War II. And there are diverse art movements emerged in 60s and 70s in America. In this video, we are going to see the abstract expressionists of the New York School and pop art in 60s and 70s. The New York School was a group of painters known as the abstract expressionists. Abstract expressionists were Jackson Pollock and Willem de Kooning. Paul Jackson Pollock was an American painter and a major figure in the abstract expressionist movement. He was widely noticed for his technique for pouring or splashing liquid household paint onto a horizontal surface, enabling him to view and paint his canvases from all angles. Jackson Pollock had perfected his strip technique named action painting. Jackson Pollock placed the unstretched canvas on the floor and painted on it indirectly by casting paint from a brush in controlled gestures or by dripping paint from a star stick. Layer after layer, color after color, the painting grew into an overall tangle of graceful arcs, draped lines, spatters, and pools of color. Willem de Kooning was a Dutch-American abstract expressionist artist. The year after World War II, de Kooning painted in a style that came to be referred to as abstract expressionism or action painting, and was part of a group of artists that came to be known as the New York School. De Kooning's well-known Woman series began in 1950 and culminating in Woman 6 owes much to Picasso, not least in the aggressive, penetrative breaking apart of the figure and the spaces around it. The woman painting is considered as a significant work of art for the museum through its historical context about the post-World War II history and American feminist movement. He once believed the history of female representations as the idol, the Venus, and nude. Now, let's see 60s and 70s art. Composer John Cage said, "Music and art should be an affirmation of life, not an attempt to bring order out of chaos, nor to suggest improvements in creation, but simply a way of waking up to the very life we are living." Like the Dadaists of 40 years earlier, young artists began mixing art back up with life as they found it, and sometimes literally and often humorously. Critics called the trend Neo-Dada, means New Dada. During the 60s and 70s, the direction that had been set out in the previous decade were continued, questioned, and complicated by new trends. The first art movement in 60s and 70s we are going to see is pop art. Pop or popular. The artists of pop found a goldmine of visual material in the mundane, mass-produced objects and images of America's popular culture, such as comic books, advertising, billboards, and packaging, and the ever-expanding world of home appliances and other commodities, and photographic images from cinema, television, and newspapers. Like Neo-Dada, pop drew art closer to life, but life as it had already been transformed into images by advertising and the media. So we are going to see 3 artists of pop art. The first pop artist is Andy Warhol. Born in Pittsburgh to working-class immigrant parents, Warhol earned a degree in design at Carnegie Institute of Technology in 1949. He was an American artist, director, and producer who was a leading figure in the visual art movement known as pop art. His goal was to become a commercial artist, and within a year of arriving in New York City, he had the top assignments from Glamour magazine, Harper's Bazaar, Vogue, Martini and Rosie, Columbia Record, and many others. His whimsical line drawings of cats, butterflies, and especially women's shoes made him one of the most sought and highly paid illustrators in the city. After working as an illustrator for only a few years, Warhol reinvented himself as a fine artist. He based his paintings on imagery he found in the American mass media, such as news photos, celebrity headshots, film stills, comics, logos, and advertisement. To convert his source images into paintings, Warhol made them into photo silk screens and printed them on canvas. Smudges, misalignments, and inconsistencies were accepted, giving the paintings a handmade appearance despite his use of a commercial process. And there is Andy Warhol's screen printing work process video. Please watch it for your understanding. Sometimes the paintings include a single image, as in Marilyn and Campbell's Soup series. These become larger than life, iconic portraits, while those printed in grid suggests the way that repetition can simultaneously embed an image in one's memory and deaden its effect. These brash, innovative works are considered icons of pop art, a movement that both critiqued and celebrated post-war American consumer culture. By the end of the decade, Warhol had become a celebrity in his own right, equally famous for his platinum wings and his star-studded parties he threw at his studio, the factory, um, as he was for his painting, drawings, sculpture, and film. In 1968, Warhol was shot and nearly killed by the actress Valerie Solanas, who had a big part in one of his films. Post-shooting, his work became both more commercial and more introspective. He hired himself out as a portraitist, making flattering images of the rich and famous, but he also made haunting self-portraits that hinted at his purported fear of death. Although he was only 58 years old when he died, he left an immense body of work that seems increasingly relevant today as the distinctions among art, entertainment, information, and spectacle continue to erode. The next pop artist is Roy Lichtenstein. Roy Lichtenstein was born on October 27, 1923, in New York City. His father was a successful real estate broker, and his mother was a homemaker, and she had trained as a pianist, and she exposed Roy and his sister Renee to museums, concerts, and other aspects of New York culture. Roy showed artistic and musical ability early on. He drew, painted, and sculpted as a teenager and spent many hours in the American Museum of Natural History and the Museum of Modern Art. His work is inspired by cartoon, which is one of the America's popular culture. Lichtenstein used stencils, thick black outlines, and primary colors to elevate both commercial images and the commercial printing process into art. He used familiar imagery to create art that could be enjoyed by the masses after the serious and complicated abstract expressionist movement. And he said, pop art looks out into the world. It doesn't look like a painting of something. It looks like the thing itself. There is a video about Lichtenstein's fun work process in this section. Please watch it. And the last pop artist is Jeff Koons. Jeff Koons is an American artist recognized for his work dealing with popular culture and his sculptures depicting everyday objects, including balloon animals, produced in stainless steel with mirror finished surfaces. He lives and works in both New York City and his hometown of York, Pennsylvania. And Jeff Koons, one of the world's most expensive living artists, widely known for his balloon animal sculptures, began his Bronze Hulk Elvis series more than a decade ago. This is one of his famous work, Balloon Dog Sculpture. Works from the ongoing series Hulk Elvis range from precision machined bronze sculptures, and it inspired by an inflatable of the popular comic book hero and extruded in 3 dimensions. For Kunz, the character represents not only Western comic book culture, but Eastern guardian gods as well. He said, they're there as protectors, but at the same time, they can be very, very violent. The Hulks are like that. They're really high testosterone symbols. And Kunz designed Lady Gaga's art pop album cover and exhibited artworks at Gaga's art rave in the Brooklyn Navy Yard. And there is his interview video about his works of art. Please watch it for fully understanding this amazing artist. And we are going to continue to see the 60s and 70s art and postmodernism art in the next video. Bye.